Great to have you here
Welcome to the podcast.
with me and my guests from around the world. Welcome to the Simone Filer podcast.
Welcome to this podcast.
Let's get into it, shall we? On the Simone Filer podcast, we have founder of Success for Soldiers, author of the world's first good news book about PTSD, self-narrated here by the legend himself at Brisbane Audiobook Production, professional speaker, corporate consultant, confidence coach, lifesaver of returning military, police and diplomatic protection in Iraq. What a list. Welcome, Dion Jensen.
Thank you very much. I didn't think this was going to be the interview. I set up for the training.
Oh, is that right?
You want to stop it and get all set up real cool? You want to roll like this? Hey, we're being super authentic.
Yeah, no, I want to roll like this. Caught you off guard, yeah?
I'm never off guard, man. I'm ready to go. Let's go. What do you got? What do you got?
You are ready to go. Look, I just did a Google search on you and noticed that you actually came up first in the Google search. You just put in Dion J and it's you, page 1, 2, 3 and more. So congratulations on that. Obviously, you're getting the message out. So firstly, what an incredible journey your life has been, Dion. I mean, if you look back to when you were a young whippersnapper to where you are now, the changes that have happened. I'd like to know a little bit about what it was like growing up first and foremost.
Born in Singapore to an army family. So my father's a Samoan. He's 6'6" and brown.
Right.
Mum is 5'9" and white. So born in Singapore first, and then we came back to New Zealand when I was 2, and then back to Singapore when I was 6, back to New Zealand, and back to Singapore when I was 13. So growing up in Singapore meant we grew up within an extended family.
Yeah.
The extended military family, and we grew up within the Māori culture and surrounded by Asians and Indians. We just thought everyone was just the same. Everyone's just family-focused people that like hanging out and eating, and we all looked a little bit different, and that was awesome because we got to eat all these different cultures' food and learn all these.
When you're young, you don't actually see any differences in people, do you?
No, I mean, like you notice, that people look different. And in Singapore, there's so many religious and cultural festivals. It's like, wow, there's a whole lot of guys with spikes in their mouth. What's that about? Oh, that's Thaipusam, and the Hindus do this because of that, and cows are this and that and that. We're like, cool. And so you notice it, you understand it, but you accept it. There's no competition there. There's no judgment. It just is. You understand it and you fit in.
And do you think that changes as you get older? What do you think is it that actually changes your opinion when you get older?
I think it's environment first, and that starts at home. And, kids are a sponge. And so whatever's going on at home, what you're saying at home, what's on your TV at home, what music is playing in your house, that's your first environment. And then it's your inner circle, who your friends are you hanging out with, what are they watching, what are they saying, what are they doing? And then wherever you're spending the most time, and that might be at school, they might not be at school, they might be somewhere else. If you grow up in a church family, you might have church school, private school, or home school. It's the environment first, because that's shaping your young mind.
Yeah.
And you will always, 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 always attach to the beliefs and value systems of those that either love you the most or give you the most value, which is very dangerous.
That was pretty heavy straight up, really, wasn't it?
That's how we roll, right?
Exactly. All right. So what led you then to become a soldier? Obviously, you had a military background there with your dad in the military, but where did you make that crucial decision?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting one. It's I never really saw it as a job. I never really saw it of, what job do you want to do when you grow up? It was never that way. It was like, what do you want to be? And those are always the words. What do you want to be when you grow up? At that stage, I was failing school. I was a really good basketball player, so I had the opportunity to play or chase professional basketball as a career, or join the army. And I grew up in the army. It just felt like wasn't a job. You just joined your family. So I joined the army. It's really interesting. I didn't feel like I wanted to be a soldier. That's not the thought process. I wanted to join the army and fight for what we all believe in as a family, and that particular role is soldier. Right. So yeah, that was the thought process. Professional basketball with the army, and it was I never saw it as a job. It was just like, that's who we are. That's who I was.
So you got a deep satisfaction from being a soldier then in the army?
Hell no.
So your first deployment, was it Bosnia? I mean, you must have thought...
No, I mean, listen, when you first get in there, you just get smashed, right? You get your head shaved, people yell at you, you got to do all the stuff you really don't like.
Did you want to get out of that family quick smart?
Yeah, I wasn't fulfilling the start. We didn't talk about that stuff. But then the brotherhood grew, and you just got to love those around you, and you just fell into that, and it was deeply, deeply satisfying up until a point of being part of something like that as your family. And then I did 6 months in Bosnia, first operational deployment since Vietnam for New Zealand soldiers. And that was nothing of what we were trained to do. We basically just manned checkpoints, and that was it. So I came back from there, the job, got in trouble while I was there. We won't talk about that.
Okay.
Took a swing.
That's my next question.
Took a swing at one of the officers. Yeah, so my grandfather died when I was in Bosnia as well. But I remember thinking, man, if this is what we train for, this is not what I want to do. And then I really wanted to be out there doing something. And then so that's when I decided I wanted to become a police officer. I enjoyed fighting. I enjoyed standing for something you believe in. And that's what I thought we'd end up doing in the army. And what was checkpoint stuff. I mean, now it is. Now is, you got to go out there and put your life on the line for what your country's asking you to do.
Well, you did that. How long were you a police officer for before you then went to Afghanistan, was it? Yeah, Iraq. In Middle East, Iraq, that's right.
Yeah, so I came back from Bosnia, and I looked at joining the police force. I was in the police force for 7 years, and in cops that was the real stuff. Like in the military, we train, we learn about process, about brotherhood, about loyalty, got very good with weapons and systems and processes, right? And dealing with the emotion of fear, like fear and pain are just fuel, right? So you deal with that side of things, and you can make yourself, that's very important, you can make yourself do whatever you want. So that's what I got from the military. But when you go into the police, it is live, right? Every single day you could get dead. I mean, I fought for my life with my hands. There's nowhere to hide. You haven't got a group of 10 guys armed to the teeth. You haven't got a whole army behind you. There's you, because I started policing by myself. And then one other, as a 23-year-old. So I was a pretty young cop.
Yeah, that's harrowing. I'm sure you would have seen quite a few things then on the streets of New Zealand.
Yeah, 100%. And look, what people don't understand, listening to this, is we weren't armed. We had this tiny little wooden baton on one side of our trousers, and then we had a big side handle baton that was in the car before all these other weapons came out. You had to go back to the station and get a little bolt action rifle 223 or a Glock when something happened, but you never had it with you. So it was always, you learned how to communicate. That was your number one skill, how to communicate. And then if you couldn't get out of there, you had to know how to rumble. You had to know how to fight.
Well, that's certainly held you in good stead, the communication that you learnt there. But that wasn't, I mean, after the police, then you went to Iraq. How did you decide to get back into the army? How did that come about?
Well, that wasn't the army. So I was a cop at the time. It was in my 7th year, and a lot of my social circle from the military, it was all, so there's a couple of different terms. So there's private security, where you just hire people to protect you. Then there's close protection, where you're hired because you have a skill set in protecting people.
Okay.
And then you also have diplomatic protection, where you protect diplomats. But this is all for ourselves. This is me privately as a private contractor.
Okay.
I was hired to protect people. So this was, I went over there by myself. And the Special Forces guy that I met in Jordan died when I was there. And I'm just over there by myself, going into this country and onto a team. And in that team in Baghdad in 2004, I mean, that place was crazy in 2004. We were a 4-man team in 2 cars rolling around Baghdad, all up and down that country. So it was the fastest baptism of fire to test your skill sets. And I loved it. Absolutely loved it for a time. It was the live test of all your skills.
Well, recording your audiobook, we did that a couple of years ago now, which it was an amazing journey going through your book with you and hearing all your stories and what you had to deal with there as a loner, just with your 4 mates. I mean, you saw some things and you lost some people over there, and it must have been an incredibly emotional time for you, as well as being a time to find your own strength. After you left there, you came back and you felt broken.
Yeah, I mean, that's a nice way of saying it.
Well, I don't want to use any language here.
Oh, yeah, not allowed to. You can read the book for that language.
That's right.
So let's keep this in context. So, within the New Zealand Army, the only violence that we dealt with was punching on. Our operational tour in Bosnia, we saw a couple of dead bodies. quite surreal watching towns bomb each other when you're on active weapon patrols, when you're patrolling between Muslims, Serbs and Croats, and really seeing no different. They were all really nice to us, but hated each other. There wasn't a lot of trauma there or a lot of stress or pressure, still pretty young, pretty naive. Then you go into the police force and then you see the worst of human nature.
Wow.
I've seen every flipping body part you can think of in lots of different pieces. Just the horrible things that people do to each other. And the physical threat to my life was the highest at that time was in the police. So you dealt with that every day. You're very good at communicating, very good at profiling and standing on your own 2 feet. Because you have to stand on your own 2 feet in court. There's no one else. You know, you've got to, you live or die by your own decisions. You've got to make them quickly. And I really enjoyed that. And then when we went to Iraq, it's just at a phenomenally higher pace. But being under that amount of energy and pressure, that's the difference. So the difference is, you know, if I go out as a police officer, I'm generally in control of sort of what's going on, unless something happens quite quickly. In Iraq, you drive around the corner and you blow up, you disappear. You're under this constant weight of pressure and energy where you have to be so fast.
Yeah.
And those that hesitated got killed. And so when you're under that much pressure for that much time, pressure and time, and cracks will show. It's just
a
natural.
pressure cooker, mate.
It is 100%. And then you just throw a grenade in the middle of that. So when I came back, I didn't like being here. I would rather be back over there. I couldn't wait to get back there because over there, I understood the environment. I was in control of that environment. I mean, I was at the top of the food chain in that environment. And I come back here to New Zealand and everyone's moaning about the price of petrol, and you got flipping street kids and gang members trying to staunch you out, and you just can't wait to wreck these guys, you know. So I came back at the point of I was just a werewolf. I just couldn't wait to unleash because, you know, one of my best mates, old Dip, that I talk about in the book, he got killed while we were there. So I was just angry. And obviously being this angry a guy, you've been under pressure for so long, you've got all these cracks, and the only thing that comes out of those cracks is rage, right? So you're just scaring people around you. And then there came that moment in the kitchen where my daughter snuck up behind me and I spun around and I scared her. And I was so grateful, just a split second. She's like, what the heck was that? Oh, Bubby, you scared me. And I give her a big hug and I explained it. And that's when I had to make a decision. You know, I had to make a decision and say, listen, the best thing for your family, Dion, is not to be here.
Gee, that must have been so tough.
You know, it's you know, there's those. But then again, with the soldier mentality of sacrifice, which is a double-edged sword, you're like, well, you know, I've created all these issues in my family. If I'm not here, then the family's better off. You see it as a solution, right? It's not.
Yeah, but you feel that way. You're not alone on that in feeling that, you know.
Oh, no. I mean, you feel alone though. I was pretty well known on the circuit. Like I can handle my stuff. That makes it doubly hard to reach out and say, hey man, oh, it's Dion. What's going on, bro?
Yeah.
One of the flipping war fighters from this team and door kicking, all that other sort of stuff. And oh yeah, bro, you know, I'm struggling, mate. What? You know, it just. There's only a couple of people we can reach out to. But then I made a decision, and for anyone listening, there comes a point once you understand that it's you. It's not my wife's fault. It's not my daughter's fault. It's not society's fault. It's no one else's fault. I volunteered. I went my stuff to handle. Right? And a really cool fellow, James Greenshield. Can I say the S word? Are you going to bleep that out?
Nah, you can say whatever word you want, Dion.
All right. Well,
you're Dion Jensen.
But I'm going to respect your listeners as well. And I'm talking to a lady. I don't like swearing in front of a woman. It's one of our values. But James Greenshield is another person that helps people with PTSD, ex-officer from the Australian Defence Force, led a lot of men in Afghan, dealt with some stuff. But he taught me at some point you'll get to where you have to make a decision to own your shit. I own it. My wife didn't go there. My daughter didn't go there. My neighbours didn't go there. That poor guy that I knocked out in Pack and Save, he didn't go there. That's my shit to handle. And so I had to stand up and say, hey man, I need help with this. And then I reached out to someone and, you know, I just, through that conversation, had an idea, had a process that sort of made sense, ran that process, decided that it wasn't a disorder, just decided that's just habits, just the way you were trained. So I went down the training model of explaining how I did things that ended up being the book, the radio show, the speech that's gone out to 1.4 million people, you know.
So that is your life mission. All of that stuff beforehand was just the prelude to what you're really doing, yeah?
Yeah. And it was funny because it was a prelude to only one chapter. I thought it was the whole book, but it wasn't, you know. So the prelude was, I want to come back and help all the people from this tribe, you know, all these people on the front line, soldiers, cops, nurses, ambulance officers. I've got an answer to suicide because I know what the issues are.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was going to be my life mission. So you saw the successful soldiers, but no one cared. No one really cared. I'll be honest with you. It's,
when you
there's
say,
a lot of people that.
When you say no one cared, was that people in the authority that could help you, or the people that actually
Yeah,
were
yeah.
there?
And I need to qualify this because that's a phrase that's not actually true, right? So there's lots of people that care.
Yeah.
But you feel like no one cares to the point that they want to do something about it at a level that can actually fit this. No, I launched my book in New Zealand Parliament. I've had solutions from then all the way through to now where I could help with all of this. But there were so many other blocks in place that I was unaware of. And I thought that was just the tribe. So I came up with this cunning plan. All of you shady Australians, because you're descended from criminals, all right? You were chosen by some of the finest judges in England. And I'm going to have a sledging match here. You fellas trying to steal Far Lap and stuff over. I bet a Aussie Kiwi sledging. I'm joking. I love you.
We love being the Poms, mate. Prisoners of Mother England.
Bloody Brits. Yeah, so I had this.
So we got the best country, mate.
Well, don't worry, we edited that bit out. I had this cunning plan to sneak into the corporate world because I'm a fantastic leader and manager. You know, I'm not blowing my own trumpet. I'm not writing tickets on myself. I'm just really good at leading and managing. So I was always getting leadership and management positions, earning good money. And so I was trying to figure out a way to get more money from corporate so I could come back and help the frontline tribe, right? Went from military to all frontline and everything else. And so, you know, I was the regional operations manager for Asia Pacific. In between that, I was doing speaking stuff there on the Gold Coast with people you and I both know.
Yeah.
And I had the personality of Batman, you know, as the dude that came through the darkness, comfortable in the darkness, challenging things, standing up for people in the darkness, which the people in the darkness really appreciated. The people in authority did not like, because I was coming out too strong. I was scaring the very people that had the solutions that my people needed. So who's going to hire a 6'4" angry ex-soldier dude walking into their company to teach them how to help their people with mental health? They don't touch me. The people in the organization are like, get this guy in here. He speaks our language. And the boss is like, there's no way in hell that dude is coming into this organization. We got shareholders, we got board of directors, we've got KPIs. We don't want this dude coming in here and beating his chest and stuff. So I had to evolve.
Shocking.
I had to figure out this way, but I should have known better. I should have known better as a cop.
It's all closed. You can't get in here, mate.
Yeah, and then these were some of the people that I had held in a lot of respect, some very high levels around the world. You know, as soon as I mentioned those 4 letters, PTSD, doors slammed in my face. Right?
Oh, that's so sad.
That's not their fault. That was, looking back now, that's totally my fault and my communication style. And so I became very good at speaking and training, started getting some good coin, and then started feeding that back in. And I just never shut up about it. 2 years ago I did the book. I haven't stopped talking since. I don't do any SEO stuff. I don't do any Google ranking stuff. I just keep talking about the mission. Keep going.
Since you've been back and since you've been at your lowest point and turned it around, you've founded Success for Soldiers, even though it didn't get into the high areas. You've, of course, written your book from the darkest place you could come from, but you've also been a corporate consultant on the issue. You're a professional speaker about it, and you've spoken globally around it. And you've also set up here in Australia, I'm not sure if it's New Zealand and Australia, the Veterans 360, where you are trying to ensure that no veteran or military veteran should ever be homeless. I mean, how are you going with that?
That's someone else's organisation that I supported, a guy called Jay Devereaux. Because I came out and I just wasn't, when I wrote my book, all my skeletons, everyone's got skeletons in their closet. My closet is empty. They're all in the book. So there's no shot that someone can take at me that's going to put me down, because I shot myself with it. Like, yeah, you want to say that I got charged for this? Yeah, I did. I put it in the book. Yeah, you want to say that I was this guy? Yeah, I was. Not proud of it. Learned from it. I've moved on. But a lot of people in the veteran support space, what stops them from helping other people is they're terrified to get attacked themselves. And quite rightly so. And these people have got jobs and mortgages and stuff. And, once I started making a lot of noise, a lot of these other people felt safe enough to come out a little bit, which is cool. So Veteran 360 is an Australian company to help homeless veterans. And so there's people in the book I put in there that were doing good things. So I founded Success for Soldiers. Then I founded Protecting Women because of domestic violence, using our bodyguard skills. Then the PTSD Solutions Community. So any environment you put me in where there's chaos or trauma or crisis, I'll map a solution and put something in place there. But when I went to corporate and my cunning plan, I figured out that they were all struggling from the same stuff.
Right, up high, those people as well.
Yeah, because they were people.
Yeah.
Here I was stuck in the mindset of looking after my own tribe, and then understood that these issues are not frontline specific, they are human specific. So I shifted my focus to learning about people. And I just made people super, super important and made all the complex stuff really, really simple. And then when I went into corporate, and I shouldn't say key, I've got to stop using that word. In corporate, their focus and what they're paid to do is increase engagement, productivity, and revenue. So I just started communicating that way. Listen, I know why your engagement and productivity is down, and I can fix it. Well, how are you going to do that? I just know people. I know people at their best, and I know people at their worst, and I know how to get them from here to here. So if you let me come in and I have a look around, I'll give you a report and I'll show you how we can turn this around. And I started doing that. But when I started speaking, because speakers get paid a lot of money, you know. I mean, I sat there as a manager. I think I was getting paid about 11 grand a month. And we went to some conference that if you add it all up, would have been a $5 million conference with all the sponsorships and stuff, right? And I remember sitting there as a regional operations manager for Asia Pacific, probably the highest I could go with who I was in the workspace. And some guy on stage is getting paid $25,000 to speak for 45 minutes.
Wow.
And I didn't think he was very good. And I mean, my first thought was, this guy's talking to us about leadership. He's terrible. Yeah. You know, I kept my mouth shut. I'd learned that is rubbish. And then I turned to someone at the table who's taking notes. I was like, what do you think about the speaker? He goes, oh, man, he's got some brilliant stuff. I was like, man, these guys are eating this up. And then I spoke to the organizer. I said, hey, that leadership speaker. And he goes, oh, he was great, wasn't he? I was like, yeah, he was awesome. How much did he get paid? It's like, oh, 25 grand. He's a really good speaker on leadership here in Asia. And I was just like, that dude does not know how to lead. He's a really good communicator, and he's regurgitating a lot of information that I've heard before. This guy hasn't even led. Look at his LinkedIn profile, do some profiling through this guy's never led anywhere. He's just got a concept on leadership that he's put into a marketing package and a workshop format that just shares his opinion. And he was making a fortune. I was like, right, if I can learn how to become a speaker, then I can use 20 of that $25,000 and put it into helping all these people. So I became a speaker and a corporate trainer. But the difference with me, as you know, Simon, is I speak to people. I don't talk about the content. I stand up there, I'm looking at people, no, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you, I'm sitting there right now that's thinking this, feeling this, or doing that. Well, and I'm not bluffing because I've been there.
Well, I've been to one of your speeches at the Gold Coast there, and I can certainly attest to that, because I remember just having tears rolling down my eyes because you talked from a place where you'd been and how you turned it around for yourself and how you can make other people turn it around for themselves, which is what everybody needs today. Because, I mean, I think there's this great awakening going up where we're realizing that, you know, you have to really do what you love doing and not do for someone else to, you know, waste your life. So you're instrumental in getting people to understand that. And that's what your speech is about. And I think also, hopefully I'll get this one right, making peace with the mirror is part of that objective, yeah?
Yeah, that's the start point, mate. That's the start point.
So tell us a little bit about making peace with the mirror.
Oh, man, look, if there's no enemy within, the enemy without can do us no harm, right? And I've done it myself, and I'm just watching so many people do it now, is they look in the mirror and they just don't know what they see. You know, that everything's got a filter on it now. So everyone's looking externally to what they're supposed to look like, what they're supposed to be talking about, you know, what they have to do to get liked, which is why Facebook calls it likes, right? To feel legitimate as a human being, you know. And if you can't do that in the mirror, you're going to chase a fantasy reflection for the rest of your life. And we see it everywhere. We see it with, that's the reason why New Zealand has the highest youth suicide rate in the world. And my personal professional opinion is because we have allowed people's internal value to be dictated by external things. And so the biggest focus here at the Lion Academy is increasing inner mana, increasing your self-esteem and self-confidence from the inside out. And we've just got a specific way of doing that. And we're very fortunate because we've got the credibility of coming out of the darkness. I mean, I don't know if you remember one of the lines from the Gold Coast is like, and everyone's scared about the monsters under their bed. Well, I am a monster from under the bed of bad people. I mean, the bad people in this world do not want to see me come out from underneath their bed. And for good people like yourself and your listeners, I'm friends with all the monsters under your bed. Here's the secret. They're not monsters. They are things that love you more than anything else in the world, and they are just trying to protect you. And when you understand that fundamental shift, anxiety disappears, depression disappears, all of that will disappear, because your anxiety is the part of yourself that loves you, trying to protect you from getting hurt. Wow. And your depression is something that loves you and just wants you to sit still so no one can hurt you. And when you understand in an individual point of view in the mirror that every part of yourself is perfect and perfectly designed, and everything that you've been through is for a reason, and you can look in the mirror and say, hey, man, did some good stuff, done some bad stuff, but we're doing the best we know how to do, and I love you. And every day we see each other in the mirror, I'm just going to love you. And I'm just going to say things that make us feel good. You know? And if you can start there, when you walk out there and someone goes, Dion, you're all shit. Bro, I just listened to the dude in the mirror, man. I ain't listening to you. Dude in the mirror says I'm enough. Dude in the mirror says I'm doing the best that I know how to do. Yeah, well, you're a piece of shit. Well, okay, the other part of me in the mirror is like, you need to shut up or you're going to go to sleep. Then, oh, yeah, go on then. And it's like, okay, then sleeping all night.
And then you go back to the mirror and say, okay, just be calm.
Yeah. Because there's all different parts of ourselves. But once you can make peace with the mirror, and then you can get to a point where you can decide who you want to be. And then once you get to that point, the easiest way, and this is just how I did it, is I just find someone that is who I want to be or doing what I want to do and just get close to them and learn from them and then find my own way. And so we've gone from that whole military aspect, the whole Batman aspect, the whole fight stuff, going from a fighter to now being a warrior for all people. But from running around the world, look, man, I know Tony Robbins. I've been into his stuff, Brendan Burchard, Kerwin Ray. Man, I'm old school. I came from Dan Sullivan, Bob Proctor, Stephen K. Scott, Roger Hamilton, Robert Kiyosaki. I've been through all of them. And what I've found, Simon, is there is no one out there. There's no Kiwis out there at this level. There's no Aussies out there at this level. There's no one from the South Pacific that's in the global influencer space where I am now.
Yeah.
Whether I want to be there or not, I'm there. And
well, that's where I'm going. That's why I'm talking to you, because obviously we are, we're the light seeds that are going to be spreading this message that you need to look within and find that peace.
Yeah, but there's got to be a process, I mean, one of the frustrations, because we have a military systems approach to training. We just say all the cool stuff we want in the world. We can say all the affirmations that we want. But if we don't do something, so everything I'm teaching is think, feel, do. I offer a different way to think that's going to make you feel better than you're feeling. But you got work to do.
Now we're talking about the Lion Academy. This is the pinnacle, almost.
Well,
probably like never, because next time I see you, I'll be going, you're doing
it's
what?
Close. It's close. It's close. Because I've got a map. And everything I teach is off a map. If you want to learn how to write an ebook, I have a map. I have a process. I have a system. Why? Because I write books. If you want to learn how to be a speaker, I have a map. Because I'm a speaker. I've mapped it out. So I have a map. It's called the Idea to Action Map. And it's the process that sits within the Lion Academy. So the ethos or the whakapapa or the energy behind the Lion Academy is if you're dealing with something that's scaring you at the moment, or you just don't know what to do or you want to grow, then if you come in here, you'll be protected, you'll be safe, you'll be accepted. Because you've got a lion in your corner, right? I'll protect you, I'll fight for you. And then while you're in here, we'll teach you. And we'll teach you in a way that you want to learn. And then that's for individuals, and for organizations, we can do the same. So there's online courses, there's workshops, there's physical workshops, there's consultancy services. Because, as you said, I do so many things, it needed to be put in one place. So someone can go, that dude with the lion seems to know what he's doing. He's not scared. Let's go see what he's doing. Click in there. Oh, wow, he's got all this stuff. I'm like, hey, man, welcome to the ice cream shop. Pick your flavor. Help yourself.
And it certainly comes from good grounding, from what you've seen and what you've learned internally to be able to facilitate this to help others. And at the moment, you're working with Married at First Sight celeb Drew Bauer.
Yeah, that was hard case. And listen, it's really cool. It's really cool. So,
okay, so I don't know if he'd like that.
hard case. And it's, I know the show. I did watch a couple with my wife because she liked watching it. I didn't really pay attention. I was just trying to spend some time with my wife. And then I asked her,
you loved it.
Man, I ain't standing on record. Come on now. I know some of my mates love it. But this dude, Drew, was the guy that didn't like fake stuff, just a down-home Aussie country boy, right? So he's a bit of a hard case. But because I've been out here speaking about PTSD stuff for so long, he was up in Cairns. He ran into another friend of mine, Graham Bint, who's an amazing person that helps people with PTSD, ex-British paratrooper, paramedic, and Lifeline phone operator for 3 years. Knows his stuff, right?
Yeah.
He ran into Drew. Lisa Westgate's another one, PTSD coach. She's female AMBO. She's got a process through NLP. And so then Drew, who used to play rugby for Northern Queensland.
Right, we'll get that right.
Yeah, whatever, man. Aussie's Aussie, right?
State of origin.
Yeah. He was asked by the police, listen, because Drew started a charity called Kick On, Help with Mental Health, right? And so they asked him to do something with the police for PTSD. And he goes, look, I don't know anything about PTSD. I'll talk to Graham. So Graham's like, man, you talk to Dion. He's a cop. So Drew looked at all my stuff and went, hey, man, I'd love to have a chat. We had a chat a couple of days ago, and I just gave it to him point blank. I just said, listen, mate, if you go down this path, you're going to hit all this stuff. My advice, go down that path. Because I just gave him a whole lot of free stuff and templates and that just to help him on his way. And then out of the blue, he goes, hey, mate, is there any chance of you teaching me how to do public speaking? And I want to amplify my public speaking. I was like, yeah, bro, that's all in the Line Academy. If you want to come in, we'll mentor you through that. So that was a donation to drop a $10,000 mentoring program on him for his charity.
Wow.
So I'll get behind him and I'll help him amplify his message for everything that we've learned. And don't worry, he'll be knocking on your door at some stage of our mentoring program to get his podcast done properly and get his ebook done properly, his audiobook done properly.
Excellent. That's what I really love about you, Dion. It's your service to others. That we've had interludes over the last couple of years, and you're always the first to say, I'll do that for you, mate. I'll help you out, mate. and encourage people to really shine from within. It's one of your total strengths. When I say that you came a long way from where you were, from, obviously on the front line and being in the police force where you had to deal with bad people, you had to probably kill a few people even being in the army, to now just finding the truth and beauty in each person and giving is just amazing to see your growth. It's just a testament to what you do with the Lions Academy.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And yeah, you've got to do a lot of stuff yourself and lead it. There is no way I did this by myself, man. No way. There's no way I would have got here by myself. The amount of people that have bailed me out, the amount of couches I've slept on, kids' beds that I've slept on in between places, airport couches I've slept on. I haven't done this myself. I have a vision, and I believe I've been given a mission from a higher power to go through and do what I do. We all have gifts. My gift is, once upon a time when the annoying guy talks too much, I gets paid to talk specifically about stuff whose friends and family still say I talk too much. But I didn't do this myself. If I can take any credit for what I've done, is just focus and just stubborn coconut persistence to believe that all people are fundamentally good, and to believe that our world is fundamentally good, and to believe that we all come from a place that is fundamentally good. And when life kicks you in the guts and tries to stand on your head, you have to go and help people, and sometimes you have to stand up. But a lot of the times in life, mate, you need someone to come there and pick you up, throw over your shoulder, and get you somewhere safe.
When those people come, you've got to be willing to admit that you need help.
Yeah, and that's a hard one, and that's a really hard one as well. And that's why the online side, and especially, I'm wrapped, and thank you very much for helping with my podcast, because I'm about competency and motive. Yeah, motive has got to stay pure, and over time, your motive will be shown. And that's another thing we're very proud of, for me and all the people that are behind me in this mission, is our motive hasn't changed. We've been in this space for a long time. We've seen people come and go.
Yeah,
we could have been multimillionaires many times over doing dodgy stuff. We never did.
No,
we just struggled, and we just kept going. We kept our motive pure. But the other one is competency, Simone. Now, I love you, sister, but if you were crap at doing this stuff, I wouldn't be working with you.
Yeah.
I recommend you because you're bloody good at what you do.
Oh, thanks,
you're the best I've seen. But your heart's in it. So for me, you are the perfect balance of motive and competency. And for anyone listening to this, an unashamable plug for Simone. If you want the highest quality audio book, but be warned, she is a hard taskmaster, you can go and see her at Brisbane Audiobook Productions, because she sat there crying, going through tissue box after tissue box, listening to my story, and in between being fully connected to me in my heart, was telling me off constantly. Pronounce your words properly. I was a bloody soldier. What's the difference between pronounce and announce? She goes, did you even write this book? I was like, of course I read this book. And so we're going at it, right? Because she has one standard, same as me, and that's the highest that you can achieve. And if you fall short of that, she will push you into. And I'm so grateful, because now those veterans that listen to the podcast and listen to the audio book in their cars or in their headphones while they're out running, it's the way it's supposed to be.
Thank you, Dion. Yeah, I love working with people. I have the same feeling as you, that I want to bring the best out of people. They've written a book, and I'm thinking if they're self-narrating, which I specialize in that, this book is going to be here forever. You want to have the best possible version of it. So we've got a short time in here together. We can cry and we can do whatever, but ultimately you've got to get that good narration out so it's going to sound sweet when people are listening, and get the message across.
And here's a live example. And I only told someone about this a couple of weeks ago. So there's a couple of veterans. They were in a veteran support centre. And this makes no sense to me. Like, if you're aggressive, then you basically get kicked out. I mean, most of us are aggressive when we're dealing with stuff. But anyway, there was one veteran that didn't speak for the whole 6 weeks. He just refused to partake, just because of how they were treating him. The founder of Veterans 360 went and picked them up, drove them back to Brisbane and said, hey, listen to this guy. And they played the audiobook that you recorded in the car. And bearing in mind, this guy hadn't said a word to anyone for 6 weeks. They get back to Brisbane, they're having dinner at the table, everyone's just being quiet, disrespecting everyone's space. And out of the blue, this dude that hadn't spoken for 6 weeks just goes, the way Dion describes how we behave in his book, people would think I'm a werewolf, but I really think I'm more of a paranoid assassin. What should I do now? And everyone's just sitting there like, what?
What? He said something. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, because he heard his own story. He heard his own words. He felt the same feelings when I was speaking. And you cannot bluff that. And when you read a physical book, and I read a lot, I love reading physical books. If I don't know the author, my mind has to create what the voice sounds like and put my own context to it. But when you narrate your own words, your own emotion is attached to the pitch and tone of every word, and you cannot bullshit that.
That's exactly
And so
right.
when your reader listens to that, they're like, this dude is speaking my language.
Yeah.
This dude is telling my story. And the amount of feedback I've had is like, bro, your book is my story. I said to Simone ages ago, hey, man, you need to get into podcasts, man. I mean, you've already got the files there, put in the podcast. Like, yeah, I'll get to it. And then now it's like, hurry up. Because if you come and you do your audio book, you've got it complete. It's there forever. And then when it's split into podcasts, it's such an important marketing tool. Yeah. If I'm just talking marketing, I go, hey, man, here's my podcast I did on crisis leadership. For the record, got the #1 in LinkedIn, crisis leadership.
Oh, well done.
It's because I could just put that chapter in, hey guys, here's what you do in the first 10 days of crisis. Click here to listen to my podcast, what to do in the first 10 days. Day 1, be the rock in the river, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, that's so cool. Such good advice. Yeah, well, thank you. I really appreciate your kind words, Dan, and it's always a pleasure working with you, particularly making your audio books and doing a podcast. But before I let you go, do you have an ultimate goal? This is actually what I really want to do.
I do. I have a map, and it's called the Idea to Action map. This has been my map, because you've got to have a strategy, guys. I'm a real strategy geek. I'm a real process geek, right? So you always got to be working to a strategy. So it was book, speech, workshop, events, retreats. That was the first layer. And on either side, mentoring and coaching, or mentoring and consulting. And then the final level at the top was an online academy, physical academy, and a charity. So that's the full map. And what that takes you is through 4 levels. First one is curiosity. When you first come out, people are curious about who you are, what you do. Then when you start getting results for them or for yourself, you start getting credibility. To go from credibility to the next level, which is authority, you just have to be the people that you come to mind straight away when you talk about it. You talk about, veteran stuff or mental health stuff or inspirational speaking. I'm going to show up somewhere because I just haven't shut up for the whole time, right? Yeah. So I'm an authority in my space. I'm all the way up. So this year was ready to run retreats, right? But because of COVID, we can't run any physical retreats right now. So I just skipped ahead and started building the Line Academy online. And then I'll build the Line Academy physically. And then I'll create a charity once we've gone all the way through. And that's the final level, which is legacy, which is why it's so important for your audiobook. So curiosity, credibility, authority, legacy, so it stays after you die. But I've already created the next step from the Line Academy. So Line Academy is all my content. Everything that I have created in one space. If you want the lion flavor, the whole Dion Jensen-ness, the essence of Dion, I should flipping bottle that. I don't know what
the essence of Dion.
That is the Line Academy, right? It's about empowering people. And how do we do that? We're bold. We're bold in those places that we're scared. We're bold in those places where we're confused. We're bold, right? But I've also created the Line University for later. It's where I will bring in everyone else that's helped me in my journey, and I will build the map and say, at this point, I met Simone Feiler from Brisbane Audiobook Productions, and we did this. Here is her course. Once I've finished my stuff off, I will then be bringing in every guide or mentor that I had anywhere along my journey, and I'll create the Line University. Wow. Which is where people can come in and be educated on how this works. And when they're ready to go, then they can skip next door to the academy and get this shit done.
That is so cool. Well, I'm wishing you the best of success with it. You're getting there really quickly as far as I can see, all the work that you do and all the lives that you've saved so far, not only with your book, but your other things that you're involved with, like Success for Soldiers and Make Peace with the Mirror and now the Lion Academy. I reckon that I'll see it come to fruition in the not too distant future. Exciting time.
Oh, I can't wait to have you over here. It'll be hilarious. And I'm worried, like, what microphone should be there? That needs to be over there. You got better sound quality. What are you doing in 10 walls? I'll be like, oh, righty. Right. When we build the recording studio at the physical location, I'm flying you over here.
Sweet. Can't wait.
And you're in charge of kitting that out. All right.
All right. I look forward to that very much. Well, let's hope it happens soon. Hopefully this COVID thing hopefully it goes away. What do you think about COVID? Should we have a chat about that quickly?
COVID, interesting one. COVID's been here since 1960. This is the first thing that I recommend you understand when you talk about COVID. There is a scale with people at one of each end. At one end, people think it's a conspiracy, a big waste of time that put businesses under and it was an overreaction, all right? That's one end.
Yeah.
At the other end, people around the world have buried their grandmother. So those are the two ends of the scale. So when I speak anything about COVID, I say, hey, listen, condolences for anyone that's lost someone because of COVID. And for those that are thinking from a risk assessment point of view that this doesn't add up, I respect both points of view.
Yeah.
And my personal point of view is unless there is no benefit in a discussion, I don't have it. So the benefit in having the COVID discussion for me is looking for the positives in what happened. And so the positives for what happened are it made everyone stop and assess their own life. And that worked backwards through the scale that I teach, and everyone arrived back in their house in their mirror. There are people that were locked down after 12 weeks that sat there thinking, actually, when I get out of this, what do I really want to do? And then it gave us a lot of time to reflect. Guys like me, we're always ready for crisis. When that river comes through, we've got systems in place. So I really enjoyed it. I'm at home in crisis. But it gave me a lot of time. The number one positive for me personally with COVID, kids at home. Yeah. My poor wife was still working 6 days a week as an essential worker, but then I get to spend so much time with my kids and understand what they're doing at schooling and take them on trips.
Yeah, I think that was so good. I agree. I've got children
on a trip last week. Yeah, and my daughter this week. And then business-wise, everything that I've been talking about became super, super important. People have just swamped me with, how do I do a book? How do I do a speech? How do I build an online course? Can you mentor me through this? I'm like, yeah, that's who it is. Yeah. So my business went through the roof. But what I teach in crisis leadership is you never charge a cent to anyone in crisis. Ever do that. Anyone in crisis, you get them to safety with whatever you've got.
Yeah.
And then once they're safe and they reach that point where they want to own where they are and make a decision, then they can pay for the next step once they're safe and once they're fluid. So I've done a lot of bartering deals. I've done a lot of JVs. You and I put some JV stuff together. I've recruited a lot of talent because there's a captive audience out there. So now I'm offering, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 packages that I normally sell in exchange for, products and services I need to build studios and do this and do that. So it brought us back to when community would barter skills.
Yeah.
Where the fishermen and the hunters and the builders would all just barter time and food and stuff. Which is really, really cool. So all in all, for my network, it's been a positive to start with, but we identified the mental health risks early, because the worst thing you can do to people with mental health issues is isolate them. Domestic violence, suicides, that sort of stuff, they have to go up. I mean, it's just natural, but that risk on the numbers of the information that we got is less than the physical stuff of COVID. And then the biggest thing I saw through all of this, without talking too much, is I saw the biggest battle in human history between authority and influence. That's what I was personally looking at. We were at a stage where online influencers had more control over people's mindsets. And Greta Thunberg comes out as a 13-year-old, has a temper tantrum, gets a Nobel Peace Prize, and big time celebrities and music stars and sports stars are the authority of all things in the world.
And politicians.
And politicians. Then all of a sudden, gone, can't travel. So no sport, no celebrities. And then when celebrities try to jump on, everyone just shut them out. It's just like, mate, don't talk to us from your penthouse about how tough things are, mate.
Yeah.
And it really, really put people back into scale, saying that, just because you're a celebrity doesn't mean you know what's happening in the real world. So it was a big reshuffle. But if you sit still, you'll get run over. So you got to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And so a lot of my mentoring stuff is, Dion, I just want to think a different way. I did get caught out. I got caught out in one place is I didn't have a home studio, because I always just go and hire a place down the road. I mean, I spent a lot on online shopping, and that's what fast forwarded the Line Academy and the Lines Den.
Yeah.
So now I can run all my training stuff down here.
I think that's one thing I've taken away from COVID, is that it really motivated you when you're at home alone and you're looking in the mirror thinking, what am I going to do now? A lot of people that obviously not the vulnerable people that were alone and, you know, some of the elderly people, but the people that are vital, that want to do something with their life, really had a chance to go within and say, okay, what am I going to do? What do I really want to do? And they did stuff like you. I set up my podcast. You set up your studio, and I'm doing what I want to do. And through meeting people like you and other people that have come in and narrated, I've really found that the only way to actually do what I want to do is to look within, look in that mirror and say, okay, what do you want to do? Don't do what someone else wants you to do, and don't feel inferior because they don't think you're good enough. What do you want to do? And I think if anyone's listening, then Dion Jensen is definitely the guy to help you get on that mental track, to have a look within, to find out what you really want to do, what you want to do.
That's the first question, because we start there. What do you want to do? And then once we get through that point, you'll hit where we are now, where we help people decide who they want to be. So we start off with, what do you want to do to give you happiness and fulfillment, all the rest of it. But that won't get you there. That'll get you moving in the right direction. What will get you there is look in the mirror and decide, who do you want to be?
Well, this has been very insightful, and I can chat with you all day. You're so inspirational, Dion, from where you came way back in the day when you were born in Singapore to traveling around the world. You've seen a lot of things that many people haven't seen, and now you're helping people grow from, what they want to do to where they want to be, to what their legacy might be when they leave the planet. So congratulations on everything you've done. Yeah, I highly recommend you go and have a chat with Dion, even just for a chat. If there's nothing, if you're thinking, I don't really know what I want to do or what I want to be or what my legacy is, just have a chat with Dion, because he can nurture that kind of thing out of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're focusing now on whole countries. Now I'm talking to prime ministers and politicians, and as people, not in their roles, and saying, listen, countrywide, we're just going to do things in New Zealand and Australia and the South Pacific that have just never been done before. And we don't need anyone else's money. We don't need anyone else's permission. And we're not in competition with anyone. We're just going to say, hey, we see this issue in New Zealand. I've brought a whole group of people that have solutions for it. It's there.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. So how can people contact you, Dion?
It's really easy. Just my name.com, www.dionjensen.com.
Well, I said at the beginning of our interview, you just have to do a Google search, Dion J, and first 3 or 4 pages and then some. That's outstanding. That's how good your work is, mate. So good to talk to you today, and I look forward when we can chat again.
Yeah, absolutely. And for anyone listening, look, do me a favor when you get home or wherever you are right now, is get off this call, go in front of that mirror and say these words. I forgive you for everything that we've ever done wrong. We're going to move forward. And from this moment on, we are going to be best friends. And we're only going to say and do things that make us feel good. And start there. And every time you see yourself in the mirror, you just say, hello, it's good to see you. And just be your own best friend in the mirror. Because everyone else is talking about a reflection that suits them. Just go make peace with the mirror. Just let it all go and just start every moment fresh.
Amen, Dion. You're an absolute champion, mate.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
And my guests from around the world.
Thank you for being a part of this show.
The Simone Filer Podcast. Catch you next time.
It's a wrap.